Welcome to the pre-concert portion of Anima. My name is Brian Current, and I am the co-artistic director of NMC, along with founding artistic director Robert Aiken. Tonight's program is bookended by two fantastic pieces for soloist and electronics. The first is by the American composer Edmund Campion, who is based in California, with a piece called Losing Touch for vibraphone and electronics. The final work is by the famed Finnish composer Kaija Saariaho and her work Fall for harp and electronics. Please have a look at our online program at newmusicconcerts.com for more information about these works. We are very fortunate to have a piece by Bahaa Ansary on the program, who grew up in Cairo and now lives in Europe. Here he is describing his work from his apartment in Paris. Now pay attention to what he says about the metal bowl.
First of all, thank you very much for presenting my piece. It will be my Canadian premiere ever, so I'm glad for you. Yeah. Atmosphere was, it was a tricky moment in my life because it's kind of like a turning point in my repertoire. I was asked by Doyle Harpwerk to write a piece for harp and percussion, and I promised I will give it like in 3-4 months, and then it went for over a year. I'm trying to find an idea for harp and percussion. And I started writing some stuff. I spent like 3-4 months writing something. And then I went to Darmstadt. And after Darmstadt, I just came back and I threw everything and I restarted the piece with, with this idea. So actually, the horn, this material, which it looks like a bowl, this actually is normally used in kitchen for rubbing seeds and all that stuff.
Okay.
And it also has some kind of connection with my culture because we use it in a tradition that with a new kid, when you after passing 1 week, they make a little party. And it's always playing with this as a percussion instrument. The mother always do this. And there is a specific rhythm which appears in the piece in one bar, like just in one bar in the middle. And this rhythm is always like, because it's too loud and all the neighbors know that there is a new baby here, so come and say congratulations.
Great, yeah.
So I took it from my mom's kitchen and I started playing with it just after Darmstadt style.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and actually, it was because it was used over 20 years or something in her kitchen. It wasn't the same like how I used in the performance, because when I got to buy a new one, it was totally new with these scratches inside, which normally with time disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So after writing a part of the piece and I got the new material, I restarted the piece again because now it's completely different instrument.
So,
yeah, it took me like long time to restart, and until I got the idea very clear. And once I got it, it was just written after like, yeah, but it took me almost a year to get the idea.
So this is fantastic. So I'm curious to know what you heard in Darmstadt that made you reject all the ideas you had before and made you want to start on this, and you found your idea.
Actually, Darmstadt was also, they were celebrating the 100th birthday of John Cage. So there were a lot of pieces by Cage and a lot of experimental pieces, like the most recent music. And that was also my first time to travel. So I was coming like a white paper ready to receive anything. I was shocked. I have to say I was shocked. So I was first writing for like marimba, vibraphone, some notes and things like this. And then at one moment I was like, after Darmstadt, you cannot hear any notes. Like you just need to. It's just like you need time in order to be able to hear something classical again. Like
yeah, that's right.
yeah, you need like a few months. So that's what happened in Darmstadt. Like I got a big shock, and I felt I was full of ideas of also a new feeling about how to think about music, how to think about sound, how that. Also in this piece, I started to build something which lasts with me for many years, which is using a small material and getting all the extensions of this sound all the dimensions, all what we can get from this small material
From this one sound.
before moving to something else. Yeah. So with this, like having the whole piece with the small parts and finding all the, what can be done with this, that was very interesting process for me.
Next is a work by Canadian composer Norma Beecroft. At our 50th anniversary, we are celebrating all things NMC, and we are delighted to present a work by Beecroft, who was one of our original founders. Following Norma's music is a piece by Igor Santos, who is originally from Brazil and is now based in the United States, where he completed his PhD in composition at the University of Chicago. He has won a number of prestigious awards, including the Luigi Nono Prize. Here he is describing his work.
So I think I can tell you two things. One is that it was written very specifically for two players who are in a part of the ensemble that I'm in, called Ensemble Dal Niente. Ben Melski, the harpist, is someone who's very curious about making new sounds and exploring new territory, and also very intellectually engaged with new music. And so I was, a lot of the techniques was using a lot of his strengths, I feel. And similarly for the percussionist, Kyle Flins, who's a great musician, and he rehearses very carefully, and so a lot of the multitasking in the percussion part, I knew he could handle it no problem, and then there's other little things like he has perfect pitch, so a lot of the whistling that happens in his part are often unprepared because he could just pull out any pitch like that. So little detail. So it's written specifically for these two players. And then the other thing that I don't have on the program notes is that a lot of this piece is based on a piece for harp, harp, vocalist, and two percussionists called Circles by Luciano Berio. And there's this moment in Circles, and I think before, in the first movement, Stinging, that there's this one part where the vocalist says the word dreams, and as she's tailing off the word dreams, that gets picked up by the sand block and by maracas. And when I heard that for the first time, I was like really struck, I was like, wow, it's like as if the maracas are singing or saying something, and I decided one day I want to write a piece that's just that, this idea of the instruments are talking or singing. So I consider this piece to be kind of like the child of Circles or something like that. And, it's harp and percussion, so that's similar instrumentation. And there's no vocalist, but the instrumentalists are vocalizing all the time. So,
thank you. Everybody go listen to Circles by Luciano Berio, and this will all make even more sense. Okay, and finally, we like to ask our composers sometimes, what do you see as the future of music composition? Everybody has a different imagination, where we're trying to open it up to everybody, and not just one group, or sometimes people think it involves electronics and technology, but the sky's the limit, and it depends on just the individual person. So where do you see the future of music composition going?
Well, of course, I think the responsible answer is to say I really don't know. But well, as you said, I think, multimedia and technology is a big part of what's happening in new music right now, and I think it'll continue to grow in that way. And then maybe after a few years, there'll be like kind of this return to simplicity somehow, which is always the case with music history. It's complexity, simplicity, in some fashion. But my feeling is generally, especially after this year, is that both the content and the creators of music, either in the new music world or popular music, is really just going to be more diverse and inclusive. From people from different cultures and people with different identities and all this stuff. And because of this, I think there will also be I speculate that there will be a change in aesthetics, just because what we consider great in music now tends to come from a certain lineage of European ideals, and maybe what I'll call like rigid formalism, the idea that what makes a piece of music great is how innovative it is formally, how it's innovating in its parameters, et cetera, et cetera. And I think as we're expanding the people who create music and the backgrounds of people who create music, that music will be much less about that and maybe more about people's biographies, or music that's more about sociologies or histories. yeah, I just think it'll be richer in that sense, you know. And I see myself changing just with that, with the field, you know.
And finally, a very special thank you to our talented soloists, Ryan Scott and Sanya Eng, for their incredible work on all this music. As part of this project, they even spent many weeks working with young composer Michael Kim Shang on developing a new and very challenging work. We can't thank them enough for this amazing dedication to supporting emerging talent, and we can't wait to bring Michael's work to you in the near future. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you soon for the show.